When I grow up. I waited for so long for the hours to pass, but soon it was noon there in Mrs. Crupp's class. And on Thursday at noon, I'm sure you know well, it's the time of the week when we do show and tell. And this week, the subject so special to me was when I grow up, what am I going to be? That's something I'd really been thinking about, and I just couldn't wait to let all those thoughts out. So when Mrs. Crupp said, "Who's ready to share?" you can guess who was there with his hands in the air. I raised both my hands just as high as they'd go, and I bounced up and down, and then, what do you know? Well, Mrs. Crupp picked me, yes, me, to go first. Oh, I was so happy I thought I would burst. I proudly stood up and began my oration concerning my choice for a future vocation. Esteemed friends and colleagues and dear Mrs. Crupp, I know what I'm going to be when I grow up. Why, I'll be the greatest chef you've ever seen. The world will go crazy for my haute cuisine. I'll tantalise taste buds with my rigatoni, sautéed with black truffles and pickled bologna, surrounded by kumquats and candied pig's feet, topped with shrimp-flavoured lollipops. Bon appétit! My walls will be filled with awards that I've gotten for toast on a stick and my Twinkies au gratin. My kitchen will be the most famous in France, so make reservations 12 years in advance. There's no doubt about it, I'm certain you see. A world-renowned chef is what I'm going to be. That's very nice, Billy, sweet Mrs. Crupp said. Who wants to be next? Maybe Susie or Fred? I said, hold the phone now, I haven't departed. Hang on to your seats, 'cause I'm just getting started. See, maybe instead I could be a snail trainer. Man, that would be awesome. Why, that's a no-brainer. I'll teach all my snails to do really neat tricks. They'll play dead, roll over, and even fetch sticks. Of course, all the sticks will come back 2 years later, but working with snails, I mean, what could be greater? They'll do any stunt that I like. Holy moly, I'll train 'em to pedal a bike really slowly. Then ooze through a huge ring of fire and crawl at a snail's pace across a high wire. Then finish by writing their name with their trails. That's right, I'll be Billy, the master of snails. Or else maybe I'll be the lathe operator who makes the hydraulic torch wrench calibrator, which fine-tunes the wrench that's specifically made to righten the nuts on the lateral blade. That's directly beneath the main radial sockets, inside cooling steams on X-14 rockets. And since this profession's as cool as can be, well, who could do it better than me? So here's an idea, perhaps just for laughs. I might make my living by milking giraffes. It's also cliché to get milk from a cow, and I bet all those cows need a break anyhow. Imagine me milking way up in the air. I'd use a tall ladder instead of a chair. What? Milking giraffes? Mrs. Crupp said. Oh, please. I countered, how else would we make giraffe cheese? Now, don't interrupt me. I'm not really through yet. There's still lots of stuff that I'm planning to do yet. 'Cause maybe I'll be a gorilla masseuse. Or an artist who sculpts out of chocolate mousse, or a rodeo clown, or a movie director, or maybe professional pickle inspector, or big sumo wrestler, or hedge fund investor, or smelly pit sniffing deodorant tester. Or I'll be an expert on nuclear fission, or else a foot model, or friendly mortician, or waiter, or skater, or master debater, or dinosaur dusting museum curator, or TV repairman, or sidewalk sign waver, or part-time assistant tarantula saver. And that's when Mrs. Krupp said, "Now, Billy, please make up your mind. This is getting quite silly. Which one of those things are you going to choose?" I shuffled around and I looked at my shoes. And finally I said, "My great-grandfather Bob's been a whole lot of things, had a whole bunch of jobs, a butcher, a barber, a bellman, a bouncer, a telephone psychic and a bingo announcer. You know what? He's just turned 103 and he's still not quite sure what he wants to be. See, I'm only 8 now, so frankly I'm hoping you'll cut me some slack if I leaves options open. Let's just wait and find out what my future brings. Hey, I might have time to do all of those things." And then the bell rang and we all went to lunch. As I was sipping on my pineapple punch, I pondered professions that I'd like to enter, like brave firefighter or a crazy inventor. Or maybe, just maybe now when I grow up, I can be a teacher like dear Mrs. Krupp.